Welcome back. The death toll has risen to at least 76 as some of those caught up in yesterday's fire in the Johannesburg CBD succumbed to their injuries today. Gauteng Health MEC says all those injured as a result of the fire are being taken to the Helen Joseph Hospital as well as the South Rand Hospital for treatment. We're joined by the MEC Nomantu Nkomo-Ralehoko. MEC, thank you for joining us. Can you confirm the death toll of 76, that's what we had at last count. And what's the condition of those still injured? Scores more.
You are correct. We are sitting at 76, and those that are injured are still in hospital, but some of them are no longer critical. There are very few that are critical. But I think at some stage around next week, we'll be able to discharge some of the people that are in hospital. But in hospital now, we are sitting at 33 that are still there. 36 has been discharged. Okay, so 33, and you say most aren't in a critical condition? Yes, although there are those very few that are critical.
MEC, yeah, we understand there are a whole lot of issues here. Many of the dead bodies have not yet been identified. Families were looking for their loved ones. Has there been any process to try and reunite families with people in hospital? Just tell us what has been happening today.
We are in a process of reunifying, making sure that families are able to identify their bodies. And as we speak, myself and the minister, we are at Deep Kloof Forensic, because we want to make sure that even here things are moving smooth. And the families, all of them, we are bringing them to Deep Kloof, because Deep Kloof have capacity. So we're centralizing everything. We don't want them to run around the province, but they must come straight to Deep Kloof with all those that want to identify their loved ones. And there are those, I met even another team group today that wanted that to be assistance. And here in Deep Kloof, we've organized counseling too, so that when they arrive, they're able to get counseling.
Yeah, it must be terrible to have to go. Earlier, we were reporting that only about 12 of the bodies had been identified because many were simply not recognizable. What is the situation?
So it's 8 families that have claimed and identified their loved ones for now, and out of 12 who have been identified, at least we do have that 12 that we are happy, and we're still sitting with the 62 bodies that have been stored at the forensic here in Deep Kloof, and we are going to do the DNA test samples to some of them out of those that have been harvested, and they are unrecognizable. So that's the process that we are going to take. But in other process, whilst we're doing that process, remember we have the digital fingerprints that we are going to use again, where they still have an opportunity to do that. So it will be DNA test and the fingerprints that we are doing. And I think already the team have started. As we speak, myself and Minister are going to get a report after this interview now, because he's waiting for me in the boardroom, so that we're able to know exactly what's the next step that we should be doing here.
All right, so 62 bodies still not identified. I mean, how long do you really try and reunite families with their loved ones who were caught up in this? At what point do you say we have to bury the bodies, maybe a pauper's burial? How does it work?
That process takes time, because after 2 months when they are with us, that's the only time that we have to advertise and try to reach out to everyone. But what we are going to do, because we are doing DNA samples, we will definitely, because that's what Minister was discussing with me earlier on, that we will have that process of the DNA samples that must be taken and record them properly, so that if there are those that they don't know people that are coming up front to say this is our person, and we're working with the police, by the way, then we'll store that and keep it safe until a certain process, and then that's the only time we can be able then to bury them. But even when we bury them, we will make sure that those graves are marked. That's what the team was telling us. So that if you come, even if it's after 5 years or 6 years, saying that my sister was in that building, we're able to take you where the body is, and then you're able to get your person. But now there are DNA samples that have taken from 19 families that came up front. And I think now what we're encouraging is that if families can just come up front, indicate if you have your daughter or your sister or your cousin that has been in the building, it will help us, because we will be able at least to know, to trace what we have and use the DNA testing, then sample them and know that indeed it's your family. But it's promising because out of the ones that have been done now, at least we are able to pick up that they are the same. Yeah, there's similarities. They are the same. But we're using, again, there's a hotline that we're using that people must phone, which is 0800 203 886. It does appear even on our social media so that people can follow us and phone us if they have problems.
All right, and I'm sure we can bring up that hotline as well, 0800 203 886. Final question, what sort of treatment have those injured been receiving? We know that Gauteng hospitals have been under pressure, have been in the news for many of the wrong reasons. Are we able to deal with something like this?
Now we're able to deal with that. We have capacity. I can say that up front, even the hospitals where we put them at Barra, we have capacity. At Helen Joseph, we have capacity. At Southend, we had capacity because most of them have been released. Very few that are there. Same as Barra is the same. Only those now that are critical that are in hospital. The rest we managed yesterday to clear everything. All the backlog, everybody is back at home where he belongs. But in the hospital, we are left with the critical ones, which even at where we are coming from now at Helen Joseph, it's only 4 that are now in the wards. The rest they have been released, and only 1 that is critical there. And then even at Charlotte Maxeke is the same. So everywhere we have managed to pull through because we have capacity as a department. Yes.
All right, thank you very much for your time, MEC Nomantu Nkomo-Ralehoko from Gauteng Health.